Terra Karta presents Brewster County, APN 24811, Poetry Tract 837. Just a quick aerial view here, you can see that it's quite close to the Trilingua Ranch Headquarters and Airstrip. This property has a ton of potential, from recreation or hunting to off-grid, semi-off-grid living, even Airbnb possibilities, and we're going to cover it all here in the next few minutes. If you're in it for the views, this property has you covered. Just a couple pictures here from the mountains of Big Bend, and yeah, you're that close to Big Bend. Going to our Google Earth map, you can see we're over Texas. There's Houston and Dallas, and there's Austin and San Antonio, that I-35 corridor there. What we're looking for is out west in Big Bend, so we're going to go ahead and zoom in here. Coming into the Chihuahuan Desert. All right, we're going to stop right there. Now you can see the property is the green dot. And what we're going to do is overlay the Terlingua Ranch, and we're also going to overlay Big Bend National Park. Trilingua Ranch is a property owners association that keeps the roads around graded and drivable, and they provide some pretty cool amenities as well. There we go, everything in blue is Trilingua Ranch, and now let's overlay Big Bend. There it is. You can see there's the border of the national park, and we are looking at Big Bend. Now, like I said, this property is very close to the park boundary. Let's turn off the ranch overlay and zoom in some more. All right, there's our property, and there just to the south is the border of Big Bend. Let's go ahead and turn off that overlay and take a closer look at the property itself. As you can see, when we zoom in here, you can see that Huffman Road runs right through the property. There's Huffman Road, and that is the reason the property is so accessible. Now we're going to take a look at the southern section of the property. From our drone, we can see that the vegetation and shrubbery is typical of the high desert, and there is some gentle topography here. The area would be good for camping. Just bring a shovel to clear you a spot on the ground, or build you a cabin here if that's what you're looking to do. Going back to Google Earth, there is a small peak in the elevation of this section of the property, and as you saw from the earlier pictures, the views of the mountains in Big Bend are breathtaking from this vantage point. Now we're going to take a look at the middle third of the property, as I've taken to calling it. This area is mainly flat with a gentle roll. There is an elevation peak, quote unquote, in the middle of it. You can see from Google Earth here, there's a steep drop that separates this part of the property from the northern third. Now let's get a closer look at that drop off. Flying over here, we are about in the middle of the property, and there's our drop off. Now past the drop off is Tornio Creek. Tornio is a wet weather creek where we did spot some good prints, indicating the hunting here would be pretty good. You should also be able to see in the middle of the screen the power line poles that run quite close to the property. Getting electricity here would not be hard at all. All right, coming back to our drop off, you can see it is quite steep, about 15 to 20 foot. And this does run completely across the property. If you'd like to do some rock climbing with your hiking, this is a great place for it. Now, whether you keep this property for yourself as a weekend getaway or utilize it as an Airbnb location, you can see the property has natural separation, either getting you away from the road if you like, or giving you 3 separate distinct areas to set up for guests. Now we're going to fly along the drop. Let's get down here level with it. And you can see that although it does slope towards Tornio Creek, it is mostly flat at its base, and it would make an excellent spot to camp or set up a shelter. There's also plenty of room here for deer feeders. The mule deer in this area are awesome. We're going to take this right to the edge of the property. And now let's take a couple looks at some still views. These were taken from the top of the ledge, looking down both directions. If you want to get down there, we do recommend not going alone, or be prepared to climb back up, or hike around the long way, get back via the main road. Now we're going to take a look at Tornio Creek, the wet weather creek that cuts across the northwest corner of the property. Here we go. Flying over it, you can see that it was dry on the day that our drone visited, and my understanding is it's been a dry autumn in Trilingua. The topography of the creek area, like a lot of the property, lends itself to some pretty great hiking, and just another great spot to take in the views this property offers. We're flying south now along the western border. The sun is washing out a lot of the good stuff for our drone, but you get a good sense of all the property has to offer and how easily it can be made into anything you want it to be. There are neighbors to the south. The power lines that run next to the property run out there, showing us how easy it is to get power out to this property. Here's a quick flyover of the northern side of the property again. You can clearly see the power line poles. And we really are proud to bring this property to market and show off all that it has to offer, whether it's hunting, personal recreation, or business applications for entrepreneurs. You really can do anything you want out here. All right, getting back to our virtual fly around, let's lay this over just a bit. And you can see just across Church Road is Whitehouse Mountain. And guys, I really can't tell you how beautiful this area is. If you've been there, you know. Now we're going to take and straighten it up. And we're going to come around on Google Earth. You can see all the roads in the area. Trilingua Ranch does do a great job at keeping these all maintained. I wouldn't recommend going out there in your Tesla, but you could. Please don't blame us if you spill your coffee though. Now here we are again at that drop-off. The easiest landmark on the property to navigate around besides the road. You can see again how I personally view this as three separate sections of property that are all workable. There in the distance is the Christmas Mountains. That's a sunrise picture from the day that our photographer went out. If you ever want to kill 10 minutes, do an internet search on how they got their name. It's a pretty cool look up. All right, now we're going to fly around Whitehouse Mountain. We're going to end up taking a look at Terlingua Ranch Headquarters. Let's take and get this all straightened up and fly around on Google Earth. And there we are. There we go. We're coming around to the other side of Whitehouse Mountain. And there's the ranch headquarters. It really is right around the way. There's Trilingua Ranch Road, and if you stay on that, you'll get to the ranch office here. And let's zoom in. There we go. Now there's the ranch office and the Bad Rabbit Cafe, the meat locker for you hunters out there, and also the swimming pool if you're into that. I'm going to zoom out a bit. Let's not forget about the airstrip. This is just a dirt runway, but in my years of traveling to Trilingua Ranch and buying and selling land here, a lot of folks have told me they wanted a property close to the airstrip. As we head back to our property here, just a quick note that land ownership in the ranch gives you access to that deer locker, a walk-in freezer to store your harvest. And fun fact, Terlingua Ranch was originally drawn out with deer hunters in mind. Here we are back at our ridge. We know we're back on our property. Now, a question that always gets asked is, how do I get there? So we're going to straighten out our Google Earth and we're going to zoom out and take a look at the route that I have highlighted. There's the road that comes onto the property. And we're looking due north now. All right, and zooming out. And let's turn on that overlay. There we go. The orange line is the route that we have mapped out. It's the easiest way to get to the property. Hey, you'll probably be coming south on Highway 118 from Alpine most likely, and you'll take a left-hand turn on Trilingua Ranch Road, and then you just follow the road. It's that easy. The road is paved about 3/4 of the way, and right about there it turns into a nicely maintained dirt and gravel road. Now here's where you need to pay attention. If you're bringing your Tesla out to the property, you don't want to miss the turn on Church Road. There's Trilingua Ranch Road, there's Church Road, and you're going to take that left. Not too far along, you'll pass Trilingua Ranch Community Church. Everyone's welcome to Sunday service at 11 a.m. I happen to know there's a place to tie off your horse if you decide to go to church the old-fashioned way. Leaving the church behind, you're going to keep following the road past the neighbors' places. And you can see the road gets a bit bendy here, but just follow it on to Hoffman Road. And that's the one that runs through the property. Concerning the drive in, if you're taking this route, there are two places where the road is the hardest to pass, and it's not hard at all, just a little slope. Just keep the lid on your latte. Just a few bumps along the way there. And there you are, right at the property. All right, now one more quick look here. We'll drop our overlay, lay it on its side and turn it a little bit. Looking west here, there are the Christmas Mountains and Whitehouse Mountain to the south. And that's a sunrise picture of Whitehouse Mountain. Sure is pretty. And we're going to take and turn it some more here, and we're going to look south. And basically, standing from the road, we're going to look at Big Bend. There we go. Wright Mountain, Emery Peak, and the Chisos Mountains. You just can't help but be inspired. Coming back to Google Earth, we're going to throw our overlay on one more time. And there you can see the boundary to Big Bend. It is spitting distance from this property. All right, one last look at the shelf there at the drop-off. Now, as we look at this, the total elevation drop from where it breaks off down into Tornio Creek is about 40 feet. And that's coming from my topographical maps. And if you ever do decide to come out here and hike it, watch that first step. It's a doozy. Having Tornio Creek on the property is a big part of what makes this so great, especially for you hunters. Put a feeder out there and watch them come in after a good rain. All right. We'll take and turn our overlay back on, and we'll circle the property one last time here. And there we go. If you've ever been out in this area, you know it really is beautiful. There's mountains in every direction. I could sit here for an hour and tell you about all these different mountain ranges, but Google them up. It's really neat. Pull up some topographical maps of the area and do some exploring. Just want to thank everyone for looking at this property with me. It really is a jewel in the desert. Being close to the ranch headquarters with such great topography, whether you're looking to start an Airbnb or do some hunting of your own or build an off-grid or a semi-off-grid home, this property can do it all. With easy access, plenty of solitude, this property really checks all the boxes. And as we say goodbye to Big Bend, I'm going to leave you with one last view. This is a mountain view that our photographer caught well after sunset. Now this picture here was taken right outside of the Bad Rabbit Cafe, and it captures so many of the emotions that people feel when they think about this part of Texas.